When setbacks become setups, the transformative power of professional loss. Good morning, everyone. Today, I want to share some extraordinary insights from my recent interview with Sharon Manker, a visionary leader who has fundamentally redefined how we understand professional setbacks. Sharon isn't just another executive who bounced back from adversity. She's a revolutionary force who transforms institutional barriers into launching pads for authentic leadership. After her DEI executive role was eliminated despite her tremendous success, she didn't retreat into bitterness or self doubt. Instead, she harnessed that moment to create the Manker Group and multiple empowerment platforms that are now creating seismic waves of change across industries, touching thousands of lives that corporate constraints would have never allowed her to reach. What's most fascinating about Sharon's perspective is how radically it challenges our conventional thinking about career trajectories. We've been conditioned, no, programmed to view professional loss as failure, as evidence that we've somehow fallen short. But what if we've been looking at this completely backward all along? What if losing a prestigious title or executive role isn't a setback at all, but rather the pivotal setup for authentic transformation and greater impact? What if the pink slip is actually your pink parachute? This counterintuitive idea that professional loss can be the beginning rather than the end is what I want to explore with you today. Not as a comforting platitude, but as a profound truth that could completely revolutionize how you navigate your career and your life. Think about it. We live in a culture obsessed with upward mobility. We're taught to climb corporate ladders, accumulate impressive titles, and measure our worth by our position on organizational charts. The narrative is clear and relentless. Success means moving up, and moving down or out means failure, period. But this framework is fundamentally flawed. It assumes that institutional structures perfectly align with our highest potential and purpose. It assumes that the roles organizations create for us are the roles we were meant to fill. It assumes that the master's house is where we belong. Sharon Manker's experience tells a radically different story. When her DEI executive role was eliminated, conventional wisdom would label this a career catastrophe. Instead, it became the catalyst for her to launch initiatives with far greater reach and authenticity than her previous position could ever have allowed. This isn't just positive thinking or making the best of a bad situation. It's a profound reframing that recognizes how institutional constraints often limit our fullest expression and impact. It's about understanding that sometimes being pushed out is actually being set free. Let me share three key insights from my conversation with Sharon that illuminate this perspective. First, we must redefine setbacks as setups. Professional losses can catalyze reinvention. They're often the push needed to tap into your true calling and create lasting change. When you're comfortable, you don't grow. When you're challenged, you transform. Second, we must leverage our lived experience. Your journey, including its challenges, is a toolkit for leadership, resilience, and innovation. Use it unapologetically in building new ventures. The very things that made you too much for that organization are exactly what the world needs. And third, community and collaboration fuel growth. Building supportive networks through mentorship, peer connection, and shared resources is essential for scaling impact, particularly for Black professionals navigating complex institutional landscapes. No one builds an empire alone. These insights aren't just theoretical, they're being validated through remarkable initiatives happening right now. Consider the 2025 Black Beauty STEMinist Summit at Spelman College. This groundbreaking initiative brings together Black women leaders in STEM within the beauty industry. Despite being major consumers and innovators in beauty products, Black women have historically been underrepresented in scientific roles and decision making positions within cosmetic companies. Let that sink in for a moment. The very consumers whose dollars power this multi-billion-dollar industry are systematically excluded from the labs where products are developed and the boardrooms where decisions are made. This isn't just unfair, it's absurd. Rather than accepting this status quo, Spelman expanded its STEM program specifically to address gaps faced by Black women entering cosmetic chemistry and science careers, a first among HBCUs. This response came directly from student demand for representation at all levels of industry influence. The summit focuses on empowering participants through networking with industry leaders, academic programming, including new concentrations and minors, and positioning attendees as future innovators, not just consumers in their fields. What's remarkable is how this initiative is shifting who shapes product standards across beauty industries while fostering an ecosystem where young Black scientists see themselves as key drivers of innovation beyond academia. They aren't waiting for permission or invitation, they are creating their own table. This perfectly illustrates Sharon's principle of transforming setbacks into setups. Instead of accepting underrepresentation as an immutable reality, these leaders created new pathways that bypass traditional barriers altogether. Or consider Northwestern University's Black Professionals Network. This community builds connection among Black professionals through open dialogue, mentorship programs, resource sharing events like Juneteenth celebrations, and recognition awards such as the Deborah A. Blade Trailblazer Award, honoring those paving paths for others. Many members face isolation within predominantly white institutions where advancement opportunities may be limited due to systemic barriers. Rather than struggling individually, BPN creates intentional space for connection via book clubs discussing works like Homegoing that explore themes of legacy and resilience, celebratory gatherings recognizing historical and cultural milestones, leadership development workshops, and public acknowledgement of trailblazers inspiring collective progress. Members gain access to practical career resources and support networks vital during transitions and losses. Honorees serve as visible models demonstrating how overcoming adversity leads not only to personal success, but also to broader community upliftment. What's particularly noteworthy is that BPN emerged from grassroots organizing by staff and faculty seeking mutual support amid institutional challenges, a response rooted both in necessity and vision. It fosters retention and success among talented individuals who might otherwise leave institutions lacking belonging and support, while amplifying stories and examples critical for next generation inspiration. This beautifully illustrates Sharon's insight about the power of community and collaboration in fueling growth, especially during times of transition or challenge. A third powerful example comes from a TikTok video series called Understanding Black Professionals' Workplace Challenges. This content explores why many talented Black professionals leave organizations despite strong performance records, with emphasis on inclusion gaps rather than individual shortcomings. The series highlights how lack of equitable environments leads high performing employees, especially those from marginalized backgrounds, to disengage or exit even when their skills are recognized. It advocates actionable steps employers must take, including building inclusive cultures where diverse voices shape policies and practices, not just hiring diverse talent, but ensuring psychological safety and equal opportunity. What makes this content so impactful is that it's drawn from real workplace experiences shared anonymously or by creators themselves, highlighting recurring obstacles such as microaggressions, promotion blocks, and unaddressed bias. The platform has grown awareness around why we lose top talent, influencing some organizations' approaches towards retention and inclusion training. By raising consciousness about root causes behind attrition rates, this content empowers both individuals facing similar crossroads and companies seeking sustainable solutions, which echoes Sharon Manker's pivot story following job loss. Now, you might be thinking, these examples sound inspiring, but they're exceptional cases. Most people who lose their jobs or positions don't go on to create transformative initiatives. And you'd be right. But that's precisely the point. The transformation doesn't happen automatically, it requires a fundamental shift in how we interpret and respond to professional loss. When we define ourselves primarily through institutional roles and titles, losing those positions feels like losing our identity. But when we recognize that our value, purpose, and potential extend far beyond any organizational structure, we can see professional loss as liberation, an opportunity to align our work more authentically with our deepest capabilities and calling. This isn't about toxic positivity or denying the real pain and uncertainty that comes with the job loss. It's about recognizing that our greatest contributions often emerge when institutional constraints fall away. Sharon Manker's journey exemplifies this truth. By launching the Manker Group after her executive role was eliminated, she created a platform that allows her to serve with greater authenticity, reach, and impact than her previous position permitted. The question becomes, what might be possible for you if you viewed professional setbacks not as endings, but as beginnings? What seeds of possibility might germinate if you reframed loss as liberation? This perspective is particularly crucial for professionals from marginalized communities who often face additional barriers within traditional institutional structures. When conventional paths are blocked by systemic biases, creating alternative routes isn't just an option, it's a necessity. The wisdom Sharon Manker shares reminds us that sometimes the most significant barrier to our greatest work isn't external opposition, but our attachment to conventional definitions of success and professional identity. As the poet David White writes, the arrogance of belonging is not about egotism or self absorption, it's about faith. It's about believing that you are allowed to be here and that whether or not you're conscious of it, your work matters tremendously. Sometimes losing a position is the universe's way of telling us we've outgrown the container designed to hold us. The discomfort of that transition is real, but so is the possibility it creates. I'm reminded of the African proverb, when the music changes, so does the dance. Professional loss often changes our music, forcing us to learn new rhythms and movements. But in that process, we may discover we're capable of dances far more beautiful and impactful than those our previous roles allowed. So I challenge you today, stop defining yourself by the boxes others have created for you. Start seeing yourself as the architect of possibilities that institutions can't even imagine. When you receive that pink slip or that denied promotion or that reorganization that eliminates your role, don't just ask, why me? Ask, what now? What greater purpose might this serve? What container have I outgrown? Ask yourself today, not what title do I hold, but what seeds am I planting right now? How will I turn my next challenge into a catalyst, not just for survival, but unapologetic growth? Take one step this week toward nurturing those seeds because what appears to be your greatest professional setback may actually be setting you up for your most meaningful contribution. The end of one chapter may be precisely what you need to begin writing the story you were truly meant to tell. Remember, in a world that hands out pink slips while reserving golden parachutes for the privileged few, you have the power to transform your pink slip into a parachute of your own design, carrying you to heights you might never have reached otherwise. The sky isn't the limit, it's just the beginning.